scrappy friends, it's Kim back from Making Creative Memories in Time, and I'm back today to share the Noteworthy Simple Page Kit number 8 with you. And excuse me, it's been a hot minute since I have shared one of the Simple Page Kits. And so while this page kit is super cute the way it is, I am going to completely cut this page kit apart and use these pieces in a different way than they were intended. The page kit will still be simple. It will be super cute. But I want to show you that simple page kits work for everyone regardless of your skill level. Sometimes simple page kits are awesome when you have photos and you want to do quick scrapbooking, tell your story, put those pictures on the page and move on. I love this August page kit. Part of me wanted to use it for Christmas because it is perfect for something Christmas. I mean, would you look at this? It's perfect. But at the same time, I absolutely love these stickers. Life is sweet, smiles for miles. You have your sun, your watermelon, your little fruits. And then this little advisor exclusive is your one in a melon, yum, and then it's got the melon. While I'm not going to be scrapbooking photos today that have watermelon, I am scrapbooking photos, really old photos, and I'm sorry about the glare. These were printed way back in the late 90s, and they are on a very high gloss photo paper, and these are 5x7 photos, so I will trim them down. But this is my hubby, my brother-in-law, and my cousin, my sister, my aunt. They're probably going to get cropped out of this, and it's just going to be the boys. This is in the late 90s, and although I don't know a date, I know my husband built this deck at my dad's in Tennessee around 97, 98. So late 90s. This is on the front porch. My husband also helped build this. My cousin and my brother. And then this is the view when it was a deck. There's actually, my dad has built onto the house now, and this is actually the dining room and my mom and dad's. But so, and then this is my brother and my uncle. And so these are just going to be sweet summertime photos, and we're going to completely cut this apart and use it in a way that it is not intended. And hopefully you will enjoy this process. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to start on white base pages, because you know me, your girl loves a good white base page, right? But what I think I'm going to do is, I think, because I do want to use this green, I'm not really sure how I want to use this green yet, but we are going to cut this green out. Now, my uncle is more in a turquoise color, but I don't think that's going to matter. So, let's just go ahead and cut this green out. And I'm going to use my guides on my tape, on my trimmer. And I think I'm lining this up at 2. And I think I'm going to be pretty on the money for this. I am. Yay. And then the rest of it is just going to be pretty easy to trim this out. I'm going to leave that piece attached to it just because I think that will be cute. Add like a little, so I'm going to leave that sort of mint green piece attached to it. Let me go back and trim one little fuzz off of that to get that off. So we're going to leave this piece attached to it. I will end up using the wood grain. I love that. So let's go back to this. I lined that up at 2. Don't be afraid, friends, to cut apart your simple page kits. Now, I really don't have a particular thing in my mind, like a design in my mind, other than I just want to cut this apart and use it in a fun way. Yep, I need to trim just a smidge more off. Well, there we go. Sometimes it's hard for me to see that little piece. Sometimes. Okay, so I'm going to keep that mint, and I could possibly even use these as little banners, okay? So now this I've already measured, and this is 4 inches. So I'm going to cut this at 2 inches and 2 inches. And then let's come back in at 2 inches. And then this, we'll come back and see how we're going to use this, okay? So let's just start thinking about how we're going to lay this out. This photo I'm going to kind of leave at 5x7. I think that'll be cool to put over here. Now, I have to say something about this picture. My sister, last weekend when we were at my mom and dad's, my sister brought me all kinds of her photos. So let's think about, I know I want to leave this as a 5x7. I know I'm going to trim this photo down, and I know I'm going to trim this photo down. And I think this one is going to be left as a 5x7. So I'm going to go ahead and trim the photos and lay my photos out. And then I will know, I think I want the photos to rest. And we'll figure this part out. Like, I don't want a lot of that green. But I think I want, like, the photos to rest around. Like, let this be a landing spot for the photos. This is what I'm thinking. And you see how this would be perfect for Christmas. Right, friends? This red and green. And I'm just dry feeding right now. Just trying to get a little plan together. And I could trim a little off the edges there. These photos, if I have enough of this paper, these photos probably will be matted in this paper. And then I think I'm probably going to put some of this, maybe even just like this, just to break up some of that red. So let me get these photos cropped, and I will be right back. Okay, so I ended up trimming my photos down. I kind of wanted to leave these 5x7. But in order to get that beautiful red plaid to be a matte, I needed to trim them down. Now, I had another sheet of this with an advisor exclusive paper pack, but I did not want to cut into that. I wanted to show you guys how to use this completely to redesign. And I do think, y'all know me, I think I'm going to cut banners in these. So, let's pull out a pair of scissors. I love me a good banner. And I think I'm going to have some banners at the top. So that's why I want these two banner. I think I want a banner at the top, or dovetail, whatever you prefer to call these. This one I'm going to turn upside down because it's going to be on the other side, but I want my banner to be about the same depth. So I'm just going to use that to measure in, so I get about the same depth of dovetail. And then here, I think I'm going to cut 1 inch off both of these. Stack these up and cut them together. I'm going to go in 1 inch to the inside of my trimmer, and then I'll have that to go up at the top too. And then these, it's not going to matter. I can banner them together because there's not really a direction to this. So we can banner these together. Dovetail. Sometimes you'll hear me refer to it as dovetail. Sometimes you'll hear me refer to it as banner. Love it, love it. And I always, you know me, I always end up getting my paper crooked. You know this about me. So let's see. I think I'm going to do 7 and 5 is how I think I'm going to do this, because I don't want this to be all the way across. So I think I'm going to do 7 and 5. But I also am going to trim it and we'll let these sort of be here. Okay. I'm just dry fitting, getting an idea in my head. And then I think I'm going to do, let's go ahead and do our little, bring in my little tabletop trash can. And then let's bring in, I'm going to go ahead and pull 2 of these. However, I don't know that they will be this long, but we're going to go ahead and do 2 of them. I think I could probably cut in half, but it's okay. And then instead of doing this red plaid, we're not going to use this red plaid. That's going to be, it'll be kind of red heavy. I'll pull a little bit of this wood grain, and then I'm going to have all of this left over that I can use as wood grain in something else. This will also make great journaling spots. So yeah, let's go ahead and get this finished, friends. So I think I am going to be good at, let's crop at about this line right here, which makes that, let's just say 2.5 inches we're going to take off of this. So let's go ahead and pull and take 2.5 inches off. Well, let's do 2 1/4. Because I'd rather be long than short, right? And then I need a piece that's going to be 7 inches. And then that should be pretty close to 5 inches. Yes, indeed it is. So let's go ahead and get these things attached, friends. So what I want to do first is, let's look at, so I think I want this to be 1 inch. I'm going to put adhesive at the bottom only for the moment. And let's line this up at 11 inches. Pull in my little ruler and see if I'm straight over here. Pretty straight. Okay. And then we're going to pull this one in. So hopefully you are seeing how wonderful this is to cut apart. I think I want this one to be at 8 inches. How wonderful it is to cut apart your simple page kits, friends. Pretty good right there. All right, now let's go in with this one. And I want this to butt right up against. Okay, so we're going to peel that up just a minute, because let's do 1 inch at the top. I could have cut more off the bottom, but that's okay. Again, I would rather it be long than short. Right? Okay, I'm loving it. I am loving it. We'll come back and do that banner in just a minute. So let's go ahead and photo. I'm loving it. Yes, I am. Okay, so now that we know where we're going, we can start with the wood grain on this side. And I know I'm getting crooked, friends. I always get crooked, and I apologize. But hopefully you are loving the idea of cutting apart simple page kits and making them work for what you need. So this stripe piece is going to be at 4 on this side, and it should line up with my 8 on this side. And I'm just going to use my ruler. Okay. And then this piece is going to line up at my 3. Always run out of adhesive. Always. And then it should line up at my 9. And then these photos, I think I want the smaller photos in the middle on both. I'm loving it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut 2 of the wood grain banners, and I'm going to do these at like 1 3/4, just because I want them to be a little bit fat. 1 3/4, and then 1 3/4. And then we'll be ready to embellish, friends. And I want my banner, these are horizontal, so I want that one to be horizontal. Now this one's going to be vertical, but it's not going to bother me that it's vertical at all. If you have this kit and that would bother you, you totally can change that if you want. I am good with it. And so what we're going to do over here is we're going to have, let's just go ahead and adhere this. Now this would even be fun to pull out your stencil and a little bit of ink, whether it be Distress Oxide or whether it be your dye ink. This would be fun, friends, to pull out some ink and a stencil. And we'll trim that off at the very end when we're finished. And let's put our little banner at the top up here. And then we'll pull in our sticker embellishment. Now remember, we don't have watermelons that like this is not, there's no watermelons in this picture, but in any of these pictures, but I am loving this theme cut apart. And here we're going to cut just a little bit off, and we'll do that at the very end. When it comes to these simple page kits, like, your creativity is your only limit. Cut them apart, make them work for you. I'm going to leave about 1/4 of an inch right there. Make them work for you, friends. You all who follow me, you know I love a good white base page. So I'm going to leave about 1/4 there. And then same thing over here. We're going to do about 1/4. So you all know I love a good white base page, and most of our simple page kits do not come with white base page. Therefore, your girl was just like, let's cut this one apart and see what we can create with it. Okay, there we go. Now, we'll cut these off at the very end. Let's look at our sticker choices and what we have to embellish. So, we don't really see them eating. I think I'm going to save this. But then you're wanting a melon, I may do here. I think I definitely am going to do this sunshine. Let me pull out my little mat here, friends. I think I am definitely going to do the sunshine, like up in that cluster, which means I'm going to need some yellow over here on this side, which means I probably will use this because there's some yellow there. I love this Life is Sweet. Now, there's that wood grain border, but we won't be using that. Definitely, even though we have men in these photos, I'm going to use these little flowers. Probably will use this picnic fun and this little basket of fruit. We're going to pull all of these little flowers. Well, at least we're going to pull. Yep, we have 6 exactly of those little flowers. We may use the little lantern. That may be cute, the little lanterns. Let's see what we get right here. Totally, and we'll trim that up. I like it, friends. I like it. So let's start with, I feel like our sunshine needs to be up here. And let's do our Life is Sweet right there. I love it. And then we need something down here. And what we may do, I don't know that this will technically show up in this red. So in order to have our visual triangle, and I know I'm getting really crooked here, friends. I know I'm getting really crooked. I think we'll be okay if we put this right here. Just need to make sure that it's not going to be on that part. Picnic fun. I would do smiles for miles, but none of our boys are smiling. So I don't know about that one. Let's do the little picnic fun. Doesn't necessarily have to. And we may not use that. I don't know that I'm going to use that now, friends. I wanted something yellow right there. That's going to be way too large. But, let's see. Maybe I can do it like that. And do 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then over here, let's do 1, 2. The sun actually makes the third there. Down here, we can do that one. And I think, even though Smiles for Miles, I'm going to use it because this is a happy place for us, and it does bring us smiles for miles. I am going to need to put a little bit of foam on this one side simply because it's going to be hanging off layers. So we'll put some foam on that side. It's going to hang off layers, and that will support that side. Smiles for miles. And there we go, friends. That is, now what I can do is I can always hang on to these stickers and use these stickers on a different project. And what I like about having this wood grain left is I can cut these apart in strips and do my journaling right down here. 1 in a million. I do like that. I do like that. So let me trim these things off. I do like the idea of having some journal strips right there. But of course, I'll tell my story on this and then cut and put them. I'll tell my story. All right, so let's turn this over and trim off anything. And then I could always go into my stash and pull out some enamel dots if I felt like I needed a little bit more. Anywhere I could pull out enamel dots. But I'm liking this just as it is. It's still very simple. It is still what I consider a simple page. Only I used a simple page kit to create this super simple. Look how cute. I love it, friends. What do you think? Leave a comment and let me know if you like cutting apart simple page kits and making them your own. And also let me know if you've done this before, if you've already cut up a simple page kit and made it your own. And if you're new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you're notified anytime I upload new content. I'll see you soon, friends. Happy scrapping.